This presentation is based entirely on Dr. John Scharffenberg personal experiences, official publications, and various seminars. All information is authentic and research-based. Please listen carefully until the end.
Dr. John Scharffenberg, professor of nutrition at Loma Linda University.
I'm in my 100th year.
Have you ever wondered why some people age with grace while others seem to decline quickly, even when they're the same age? What if the key to staying young, energetic, and mentally sharp well into your 80s and 90s wasn't found in a pill, a cream, or a costly procedure, but in the foods you don't eat? Imagine being able to walk without pain, think clearly, and enjoy life fully without being weighed down by chronic illness or fatigue. Dr. John Scharffenberg, a respected physician, public health expert, and nutrition pioneer who lived beyond a century, believed that the secret to aging well lies not only in what you add to your diet, but also in what you leave out. Through over 70 years of medical service, teaching at Loma Linda University, and personal practice, Dr. Scharffenberg identified 3 foods that silently rob us of youth, vitality, and longevity. And by simply avoiding these, he argued, we can dramatically improve how we age, not just in how we look, but in how we feel and function every day. Dr. Scharffenberg wasn't just a scholar. He was a living example of the health principles he taught. Even in his late 90s, he maintained excellent mental clarity, steady posture, and a calm, wise presence that inspired those around him. His life journey began in China, where he was born to missionary parents, and it led him across continents, from medical training in the US to global health work in Asia, Africa, and Europe. Throughout his life, he remained deeply committed to preventive health, especially as it relates to aging. One of his core beliefs was this: the aging process is not just about time passing. It's about the damage we allow to accumulate in our bodies over time. And the food we eat is a major part of that equation. Let's explore the first food Dr. Scharffenberg strongly advised us to avoid: meat, especially red and processed meats. Now, this isn't just a personal preference. His recommendation was based on decades of scientific observation, epidemiological research, and practical health outcomes. He was a leading voice in the Adventist health studies, which followed thousands of individuals, many of them vegetarians, and found a strong link between a meat-free diet and longer, healthier lives. He frequently cited data showing that those who abstained from meat had lower risks of heart disease, cancer, obesity, and diabetes, 4 of the biggest contributors to early aging and poor quality of life. But why is meat such a problem, especially as we age? According to Dr. Scharffenberg, it's because meat, particularly when cooked at high temperatures or processed, introduces harmful compounds into the body. These include heterocyclic amines and advanced glycation end products, which are known to increase inflammation and oxidative stress. As we get older, our cells become less efficient at repairing this kind of damage. Over time, these toxins contribute to stiff arteries, joint pain, memory loss, and even wrinkles. In other words, they speed up the aging process from the inside out. Dr. Scharffenberg also emphasized that meat is often high in saturated fats and cholesterol, which can clog arteries and strain the cardiovascular system. For seniors, this translates to reduced blood flow to vital organs, including the brain. That's why he often pointed out the correlation between meat-heavy diets and cognitive decline, including dementia and Alzheimer's disease. And this isn't just about preventing disease, it's about preserving independence. Maintaining brain health means being able to make decisions, stay socially connected, and enjoy life's simple pleasures without confusion or fear. Instead of meat, Dr. Scharffenberg promoted a diet rich in plant-based proteins, beans, lentils, nuts, seeds, and whole grains. He believed these foods not only provided the necessary nutrients, but also reduced the toxic load on the body. One of his favorite sayings was that your kidneys are your best friends in old age, and eating meat makes them work too hard. As we age, kidney function naturally declines, and high-protein animal foods can accelerate that process. By contrast, plant-based diets are gentler on the kidneys and support detoxification and longevity. Beyond physical health, Dr. Scharffenberg also believed in the emotional and psychological benefits of a meat-free diet. He observed that those who followed plant-based lifestyles often reported better moods, more energy, and greater satisfaction with life. whether due to the anti-inflammatory effects of the diet or simply the sense of alignment with one's values. The overall result was a slower, gentler aging process, and he practiced what he preached. At lectures, potlucks, and international conferences, his plate was always filled with colorful vegetables, grains, and fruits, not a trace of meat. Now, the second food on Dr. Scharffenberg's anti-aging blacklist might be even more surprising because it's so deeply woven into modern diets. That food is sugar, particularly refined and added sugars found in desserts, sodas, baked goods, and even so-called health foods. Dr. Scharffenberg often referred to sugar as the sweet poison, not because it causes immediate harm, but because of its slow and silent damage to nearly every system in the body. He was ahead of his time in warning about sugar's role in inflammation, metabolic dysfunction, and premature aging. Sugar contributes to the formation of advanced glycation end products, appropriately abbreviated as AGEs, which damage collagen and elastin, the proteins that keep our skin firm, our joints flexible, and our blood vessels supple. As AGEs build up, they cause the skin to wrinkle, blood vessels to stiffen, and the body to heal more slowly. This process also plays a role in cataracts, arthritis, and kidney disease, all common aging-related conditions. For Dr. Scharffenberg, the link between sugar and aging was undeniable. He urged his patients and students to drastically reduce or eliminate sugar not only to avoid diabetes, but to stay young. He also explained how sugar disrupts insulin function, leading to energy crashes, increased fat storage, and hormonal imbalance. As we age, our cells become less responsive to insulin, and excess sugar only worsens this sensitivity. The result? Higher risks of type 2 diabetes, memory problems, weight gain, and cardiovascular disease. But the effects aren't just physical. Sugar also impacts mental health. Studies have shown a correlation between high sugar intake and symptoms of depression and anxiety, conditions that can become more pronounced in later life. Dr. Scharffenberg often highlighted hidden sources of sugar. Even foods labeled natural or low-fat can be loaded with sweeteners. Flavored yogurt, breakfast cereals, salad dressings, and packaged snacks are common culprits. That's why he advocated for a return to whole, unprocessed foods, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and nuts, where the sweetness is balanced by fiber and nutrients. He encouraged seniors to retrain their taste buds, suggesting that it takes just a few weeks to lose the craving for excessive sweetness and start appreciating the natural flavors of real food. His advice wasn't about strict rules or guilt, it was about freedom. Freedom from pills, medical procedures, and the constant struggle with low energy or brain fog. By cutting sugar, he believed people could reclaim their vitality and emotional stability. And he lived this message himself. Into his 90s and beyond, he avoided cakes, cookies, and sugary beverages. His go-to snacks were fruits, especially apples, bananas, and dates in moderation. He believed nature provided everything we needed, if only we had the discipline to choose it. These first two foods, meat and sugar, form the foundation of Dr. Scharffenberg's anti-aging message. They are silent saboteurs of longevity, working behind the scenes to break down the very systems we need to remain healthy and independent as we grow older. But there is still one more food he strongly cautioned against. A food so common, so socially accepted, that many people never question its effects on the body or the brain. Yet Dr. Scharffenberg believed that this third item might be the most dangerous of all, especially for seniors looking to preserve their health and sharpness in later life. That third food is alcohol. Now, this may surprise many people, especially those who believe that a glass of wine a day is good for the heart. But Dr. Scharffenberg took a firm and unwavering stance on alcohol throughout his life, not only as a physician but also as a public health advocate deeply committed to evidence-based prevention. To him, alcohol was not just a social beverage. It was a toxin and a fast-track agent for accelerated aging, both mentally and physically. He warned that even moderate alcohol consumption could impair brain health over time. In fact, one of the key aspects of his longevity message was the protection of cognitive function. He believed, and studies now support, that alcohol, even in small amounts, interferes with the brain's ability to regenerate and process information. As we age, our brain tissue naturally shrinks, and becomes more vulnerable to oxidative stress. Alcohol speeds up this process. Dr. Scharffenberg often cited research showing that even casual drinking is linked with increased risk of dementia, memory loss, and emotional instability in older adults. But brain health wasn't his only concern. Alcohol affects the liver, a vital organ responsible for detoxifying the blood, processing nutrients, and metabolizing fats. With age, the liver's efficiency naturally declines. Introducing alcohol into this system places an added burden, potentially, leading to fatty liver disease, inflammation, and impaired metabolism. According to Dr. Scharffenberg, this sets off a cascade of issues: poor digestion, hormonal imbalances, sluggish energy, and toxic buildup in tissues, all of which make the body age faster and feel older than it really is. He also spoke at length about how alcohol weakens the immune system. As we grow older, our immune defenses are already compromised, which is why seniors are more vulnerable to infections, chronic inflammation, and autoimmune issues. Alcohol further suppresses immune function, making it harder for the body to fight off even minor illnesses. This was of particular concern to Dr. Scharffenberg during his global health work in countries facing high burdens of disease. He saw firsthand how alcohol use, not just abuse, led to preventable suffering, especially among older adults. Some people believe that a little alcohol helps them sleep or relax, but Dr. Scharffenberg challenged that myth. He explained how alcohol disrupts the sleep cycle, especially the deep, restorative stages of sleep that are essential for cellular repair, memory consolidation, and hormonal balance. Over time, alcohol-induced sleep problems can lead to fatigue, depression, and an overall sense of slowing down. And for seniors, quality sleep is one of the most important factors in maintaining sharpness, balance, and immune health. He also looked at alcohol's impact on bone health, a crucial topic for anyone over 55. Aging naturally leads to a reduction in bone density, and alcohol accelerates that loss by interfering with calcium absorption and hormonal function. This increases the risk of osteoporosis and fractures, particularly hip fractures, which can drastically reduce independence and mobility in seniors. Dr. Scharffenberg often pointed out that something as simple as avoiding alcohol could reduce this risk and keep older adults more active, balanced, and free to move about as they please. His perspective wasn't shaped just by data. It came from a lifetime of observation and global medical service. He saw the cultural normalization of alcohol as one of the great ironies of modern health advice. While society often discourages smoking or overeating, alcohol remains widely accepted, even encouraged in social and medical circles. But as he often said, just because something is socially acceptable doesn't mean it's safe, especially when your goal is to preserve health, energy, and clarity well into your later years. So, how did he live this philosophy? Quite simply, never drank alcohol. Not on holidays, not at weddings, not even for a toast. He believed there was no safe level of alcohol use, particularly for those seeking to optimize health and longevity. Instead, he promoted hydration through clean water, herbal teas, and fresh fruit juices. His daily routine often included lemon water in the morning, plenty of pure water throughout the day, and antioxidant-rich beverages like pomegranate juice or green tea as a treat. These choices supported detoxification, kidney health, and digestion, all critical systems in aging gracefully. Putting all of this together, Dr. Scharffenberg's anti-aging message was simple but powerful: eliminate meat, sugar, and alcohol. In doing so, you reduce inflammation, preserve organ function, and protect your most vital assets: your brain, your heart, and your independence. And he didn't just promote these ideas in theory. He lived them, taught them, and saw their impact across thousands of lives in hospitals, classrooms, and communities around the world. Many of his students and patients who followed this advice reported dramatic improvements in their energy, digestion, weight, and even mood. And the science backs this up. When we remove these 3 inflammatory foods from our diet, the body is better able to heal, rejuvenate, and maintain equilibrium. Blood sugar levels stabilize, arteries remain flexible, sleep becomes more restful, and even skin looks healthier. It's not about looking younger. It's about functioning like someone much younger. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of Dr. Scharffenberg's teaching is this: His recommendations didn't require fancy supplements, expensive programs, or extreme diets. They were based on a common sense, plant-based lifestyle built around whole foods, clean hydration, movement, rest, and purpose. It was a lifestyle you could start at any age and still benefit from. He often said, "The body has an incredible capacity to heal if you stop harming it. So if you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, or beyond, it's not too late." In fact, this could be the perfect time to reclaim your health, sharpen your mind, and strengthen your body. By simply avoiding meat, sugar, and alcohol, and replacing them with vibrant, life-giving foods, you're not just avoiding disease. You're embracing life. More energy to travel, more clarity to connect with loved ones, more mobility to play with your grandkids, and more joy in each day you live. Dr. Scharffenberg's timeless wisdom isn't just about living longer, it's about living better. He proved it through more than a century of life, grounded in service, purpose, and radiant health. His advice may be simple, but its impact is profound. The question now is, are you ready to try it? Now, as we wrap up, you might be thinking, can cutting out just 3 foods really make such a difference? According to Dr. John Scharffenberg's lifelong research and personal experience, the answer is a confident yes. His teachings weren't about perfection. They were about direction, shifting your lifestyle toward choices that promote health, not disease, energy, not fatigue, clarity, not confusion. And the best part? You don't need to change everything at once. Even small, consistent changes, starting with avoiding these 3 foods, can begin to shift your health in a remarkable direction. Dr. Scharffenberg loved to remind his audiences that the human body is forgiving. If you've spent years or even decades eating in ways that may have harmed your body, it's never too late to change. In fact, one of his most compelling messages was that the body begins healing almost immediately when harmful foods are removed. Within just a few days of cutting meat, sugar, and alcohol, people often report better sleep, lighter digestion, improved mental focus, and more balanced energy. Over time, these small improvements compound into a better life. Fewer doctor visits, less medication, and more freedom. You may be surprised to learn that Dr. Scharffenberg never marketed expensive programs, supplements, or miracle products. That's because his approach was rooted in real, accessible solutions: whole plant foods, clean water, daily movement, and rest. It wasn't glamorous, but it worked. And he proved it, not just with science, but by living to 102 years old, with his mind and body still remarkably intact. He walked, read, taught, and inspired others even into his later years. It's difficult to argue with that kind of evidence. But what truly set Dr. Scharffenberg apart was not just his knowledge, it was his compassion. He didn't lecture people or shame them for their habits. Instead, he gently guided them toward better choices, always with the understanding that change is hard, especially later in life. He believed in empowering people, not overwhelming them. And his message resonates even more today, as chronic diseases and rapid aging continue to affect millions of older adults around the world. Think about what matters most to you right now. Is it staying active so you can travel or play with your grandkids? Is it keeping your independence and avoiding a future in and out of hospitals? Or maybe it's staying mentally sharp enough to continue learning, sharing stories, and living with purpose. No matter your goal, Dr. Scharffenberg's philosophy offers a clear, research-backed path forward. And it all begins with a single, powerful decision to avoid the 3 foods that accelerate aging and instead nourish your body with the foods of life. That means enjoying more fresh fruits, leafy greens, nuts, seeds, whole grains, and legumes. It means choosing water over wine, whole food over processed snacks, and meals that leave you feeling energized instead of sluggish. It's not a restrictive way of living, it's a freeing one. Because the truth is, when you feed your body the right way, you start to feel lighter, younger, and more hopeful about the days ahead. And here's the real gift of this message: you're not alone. Thousands of people have followed these same principles, with real, lasting results. Communities that follow Dr. Scharffenberg's plant-based, alcohol-free, sugar-free guidance, like the Seventh-day Adventists in Loma Linda, California, are now among the longest living populations in the world. They are living proof that age is not a sentence. It's a stage of life that can be vibrant, joyful, and full of meaning when you take care of your body and mind. So, if you're ready to age with energy, purpose, and clarity, start here. Reconsider what's on your plate. Say goodbye to meat, sugar, and alcohol, and say yes to the foods that help you thrive. Dr. John Scharffenberg left behind more than a century of wisdom. But more importantly, he left behind a roadmap, a way for all of us to grow older without growing old. His life was a living example of what's possible when we honor the body with simplicity, consistency, and care, because in the end, aging doesn't have to mean decline. With the right choices, it can mean awakening to a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more alive than ever.